What is
All
up,
right.
guys? Episode 6, the MMA Dynasty. I'm here with Lucas Tracy MMA. I'm Jacob Ross. It's going to be a great episode. But before anything, I just wanted to give Lucas a huge congratulations. He won his first bodybuilding competition. Absolutely massive.
Let's go. We got
Amazing.
first place. Classic physique. If you guys know anything about bodybuilding, that's the division I did. I competed for the first time ever. We got the fucking win. So
Congrats.
I'm pretty excited, man. I'm still running on a high, man. Still, because last week, you know, if you guys don't know anything about bodybuilding, you got to really suffer on a diet. You got to get extremely lean. And I felt like a dead man until yesterday. Man, the whole experience, I just loved it. And I had so much energy. I felt like I could shoot through the fucking stratosphere and just elevate to the moon. And I'm still running on the high, still running on the serotonin. I had a big meal last night, burgers, fries, milkshake, and I'm competing again next weekend. So I can't wait to do it again.
Let's go. That's great. That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Anything that you're going to do differently for next weekend?
Just get more shredded.
Get more
I
shredded?
Yeah, man. So I'm back on the grind already. Zero carbs. That's what I was doing, before I did my carb up, before I started carbing up to fill out. So I'm back on zero carbs. I did an hour of treadmill today because I trained legs hard and I didn't want to do any stairmaster, but I'm gonna do an hour walk. Well, not an hour walk, maybe a 30-minute walk before I go to bed tonight as well. And I did sauna posing practice. I'm really gonna lock it down this week so I can come in better and more shredded. So I can't wait. It's gonna be small improvements. You can only do so much in a week, but I'm gonna try to come in even
Sure.
more shredded and
For
lose a little bit
sure.
more fat
And it's in Pennsylvania, right?
in Pennsylvania next Saturday. And I can't wait, man. I hope I win that
No.
shit too. It'd be so dope to be undefeated, like
That'd
Sean
be
O'Malley.
amazing. And those who don't know, and those who don't follow Lucas, we'll put his Instagram, his regular Instagram in the
Yeah.
description below.
Thank you.
Give
Yeah,
it a follow and we'll
Lucas T. Dot Fitness, guys. If you're into fitness or bodybuilding, get at me. I'm the best that there is, baby, and I'm holding
go.
it up. We
I
got a
mean, he's
bunch of
undefeated,
biceps.
so
Yeah, and
can't
I got the
can't
tan.
argue with that, you
It's
know?
weird, bro, because I look like the tan comes off your face first before
Really?
anything else. So I just look, and I got a photo shoot tomorrow as well. So I'm excited. But we also had a great night of fights, and it was amazing because I came home, I had a burger, two burgers, a milkshake, and fries, and I got to watch the fights. And we had honestly one of the best fight nights of the entire year.
For sure.
Every single fight ended with a finish, short card, and just amazing. First of all, first thing I got to say is Sam Alvey. I love Sam Alvey. He seems like a great guy. He's come on my live streams quite a lot. He is, someone who's really down to earth. I've actually had him on a live. We've talked before. He got finished. He's been taking a lot of damage, and it's just kind of. I just wanted to get this out of the way, man. It's like, I get that's his passion, but he's also a coach. I think that it's just hard seeing him take a KO like that over and get beat over and over and over again. So that sucked to see. I
Yeah.
hope he's fine. But bro, the two fights that really it surprised me. Number one, the main event was a great main event, a war. But that Jeff Neal Luque
Oh,
fight, that was,
that was
first of all, that
spectacular.
was that was a great fight. But man, Jeff Neal, holy shit, because he just finished one of the toughest dudes that there is, one of the best chins in the UFC. I picked Luque to beat him. Luque's a savage, but let honestly, that was for me, that was the big surprise of the night, because the way that Jeff Neal KO'd Vicente Luque was scary. Like, that shit was violent, bro. That was a vicious finish.
Yeah.
And because of it was a guy who was as durable as Luque, it goes to show how dangerous a guy like Jeff Neal is. I mean, that dude is tough as nails and he hits like a truck. He's got lightning fast hands. That shocked me, honestly. The way, it wasn't just that he finished him, it was the way he finished him. Luque just looked like he was about to die. So
Yeah.
that was, what was your uh big shock of the night? What was your like whoa moment last night when it came to the fights? Because epic fight night.
Yeah, a very, very good fight night. It's always the fight nights that like had the least stacked cards that end up performing the most. So I was very surprised by this Vicente Luque knockout also. The dude has never been finished in his whole career, at least by like a KO.
Yeah.
And like in the first round, he's getting wobbled all over the place. And I thought he was going to get finished in the first round, honestly. But he held up. He had a good second round. And then in the third round, he just was getting lit up. And then he took about 10 like uppercuts that probably would have put down most people.
Yeah.
He's just eating those like, and then like this, I think it was like a left hook was the one that eventually put him down, and they called it
Face planted, man. That shit was
absolutely
crazy.
brutal. It's always the guys who've never been like knocked out. When they get knocked out, it's just like the most brutal knockouts. Like Tony
Yeah.
Ferguson with Chandler,
Yeah.
and then Luque just last night. Like he went down hard, and like it's tough to see like a guy like that who's literally before the Muhammad fight was considered one of the top guys in the division, and now he's likely going to be going out of the top 10. Honestly,
He's
after
gonna go
two
downhill. He's gonna
losses,
go
yeah,
downhill.
yeah, it's unfortunate.
And both of these guys, the way that I saw this fight is I watched both of them fight Wonder Boy, and both of them got beat up by Wonder Boy. Both of them got outclassed, but they both had similar performances against Wonder Boy. I would say Luque had a better performance against
Yeah,
Wonder Boy than Jeff Neal. However, I just looked at that fight and thought, similar level. Luque, I don't he's got great pressure. And when he's fighting another striker who's not really going to grapple him, I think he'll get the nod. I think he's going to be too much. He's a pressure heavy fighter, and I think he'll wear on Jeff Neal. And I thought that he might be able to break a guy like Jeff Neal, but man, Vicente Luque, in my opinion, I think he's been a little overrated. Now, here's the thing: he's one of the most entertaining fighters in the UFC. All of his fights are incredibly entertaining, except for that Bilal Muhammad fight. But then again, that's on Bilal Muhammad.
yeah,
But
that guy. Yeah.
Luque, we have to remember guys that Luque was beating up. I mean, Mike Perry, great, tough. Mike Perry back in the day when Luque beat him was a better version of Mike Perry than the one that we saw exit the UFC. But that's Mike Perry. He's not the top echelon of the UFC fighters. And then, Luque, he's beating a guy like Barberina. He's beating a guy like Nico Price. He's beating a guy like Tyron Woodley. I mean, these are good fighters, but look at where they are in their careers. Look at the kinds of guys he's beating. And his most impressive win was Chiesa, but Chiesa's not. He's good, but he's not that upper echelon. He's not. I don't even know how he was able to sneak into that top 10 to begin with.
Yeah.
But Jeff Neal surprised me because he got beat up by Neil Magny.
Yeah.
And Neil Magny he's good, but he's not
He's
not that great. He's not a finisher. He's not a guy who's gonna put anyone on notice or make a statement. And in retrospect, I think that Jeff Neal is just a better striker. And Luque, I think he's overrated a little bit. I think we overrated him. Again, he's never really had that big win. The Chiesa win was his biggest win, but the Woodley win was a past prime Woodley.
Definitely.
I should have saw it coming. I think I just made a bad prediction, but I think Jeff Neal's good, but I think he's close to his ceiling too. I don't think Jeff Neal's the best fighter. So what do you think about what do you think about both of these guys' ceilings? Because I see Luque going down, and I don't know how far Jeff Neal can get in that division because again, it's grapplers here on out. He's got good grappling defense, but I don't see him beating a Colby. I don't see him being a Khamzat, a Shavkat, a Kamaru. What do you think?
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Vicente Luque, his record was a bit padded. Like I think he was on like a 7-fight win streak, which is really good, but against the guys he was beating was just not that impressive looking back at it.
They're good fighters that he beats, but they're not like the top echelon. And Jeff Neal is I feel like Luque is at the top of a certain tier of fighter, right? He's the kind of guy
7 through 10, I would
top,
say.
like near number 15.
15.
He's beating guys that are on the decline from like the upper tens of the rankings. As soon as he gets into that, under the guys that are ranked under 10, I just don't think he beats them. So he's good, but he's beating guys that are coming down. He's beating guys that are right outside the rankings that are also guys that have taken a lot of damage.
Yeah.
And then he fights a guy like Bilal Muhammad who deserves to be in the top 10. He's a good fighter, and he loses. He fights a guy like Jeff Neal who deserves to be in the top 10. He's a good fighter. He gets finished. Like, yeah.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think he also, I don't know if you noticed, but in that fight yesterday, like he had no head movement whatsoever. Like his defense was horrible.
Yeah,
Like
that's another
yeah,
one
his
of his
pressure was good and his striking. Like I think he's a good striker. He's got good jiu-jitsu, but his defense is horrible. Like he was getting literally no head movement whatsoever. It was so easy for Neil to hit him. So I think it's unfortunate because he's a guy who's 30 years old, so he should be just like entering his prime. But when you have two straight losses like that and a bad loss last night, like it looks like his career may be going downhill, honestly, because like especially like if you look at this, like the guys who have these indestructible chins, when their chins go out the first time, it usually goes downhill for them, you know?
Yeah.
So unfortunately expecting a downhill road for not Bilal Muhammad, Vicente Luque. Yeah, it's tough because some guys who go on these sick win streaks and they lose, it kind of just messes them up mentally, and then they just never are able to recover again. Like you look at a guy like Tony Ferguson, when he went on a 12-fight win streak, and then he loses to Gaethje and just never was the same again, you know? Like, yeah, like he took a ton of damage in that fight, but I think it also had to do with like the mental part of it. So it could be that mentally Luque just was like, I had this 7-fight win streak, like he's feeling really good about himself, and then got let down twice. So I think his career is unfortunately going downhill. But in terms of Neil, he called out Gilbert Burns for a fight, and I like that. Like apparently we're gonna talk about it later, but we might as well just talk about it now. But the Gilbert Burns fight, that makes sense in my opinion. Gilbert Burns wants to fight Masvidal. They both want to fight each other. I think that's an interesting fight. But in terms of the rankings wise, I would rather see Neil because we kind of know what Masvidal is. Like he's not beating any of the top guys. And maybe Neil can't, but he at least like he's never tried. So like Masvidal's fought Colby, fought Usman twice. Like we know what he is. So it would be interesting to see Neil against a guy like Gilbert and like moving up the rankings, you know, because I think that's the next step for him. He beat Luque, who I think was number 8. What is Gilbert, like 5 or something? So I think that's the perfect step up for him. I would probably favor Gilbert in that fight, but I think it'd be a really exciting fight.
That'd be an excellent fight because Neil has good takedown defense and Gilbert's a good grappler, but he's not the best wrestler. I think that could be a good fight. I would favor Gilbert in that one, but I think it has potential to be a great fight. I'd like to see that more than I'd like to see Gilbert versus Masvidal. So
I don't want to see that fight.
yeah, I don't want to see that. So I want to see Masvidal against a striker.
Is it just me or just like Masvidal is just getting really like he's been annoying, but like in my opinion,
I think part of it is the matchups that he's been getting because you have to remember, he's fighting his nightmare matchups. He's fighting the guys that are going to wrestle him. He's fighting Colby. He's fighting Kamaru. And those are the best guys in the 170 division. No shame in losing to them. Obviously it sucks losing to them, but if you put him against a guy who's also like Jeff Neal, Masvidal, Jeff Neal, I mean, that would be.
I like that too.
It probably won't happen just because their trajectories are different. But that's an example of a fight that Masvidal could win. Masvidal, I'd like to see him fight a striker. So yeah. I'm tired of seeing. I think people are just they're being disappointed by Masvidal's fights because he's fighting the guys that he's not supposed to beat, and that's what's going to happen. You're not going to win those matchups. But let's get into the main event. Because I picked Jamal Hill to win by decision, and I said that he could potentially get a finish later on in the fight. I was impressed by both guys for different reasons. It seemed as if when one had success, the other one was fading, and obviously the tide changed, which was interesting because when it came to digging deep, the younger, man, the guy who's, on the up and up, who's very hungry, who's working hard. Jamal Hill proved himself as someone who is truly hungry. And I really like that. I like the finish. I like the rally at the end. But man, I was impressed by Thiago Santos. And Thiago Santos last night looked better than the Thiago Santos that I've seen against Rakic and the Thiago Santos that I saw against Magomed Ankalaev. I mean, the Thiago Santos we saw last night was good. He was dangerous, but Jamal Hill, got to give him credit. He's tough. He's super tough. His cardio is pretty good, given that there was a lot of grappling, there was a lot of wrestling. A lot of guys would just be exhausted, and that probably would have went to decision in most cases with most guys. But for him to grit down in a way reminded me a little bit of Yuri. He just outlasted him, broke him. And, Thiago Santos was gassed. I thought it was kind of, listen, I thought the wrestling from Thiago was a little bit silly, but obviously he was trying to mix it up. He was trying to be a good mixed martial artist, but it ultimately was his downfall because it gassed him out and he had nothing in the later rounds. He got finished. Jamal Hill, we got the good prediction, but Thiago Santos was impressive, which means that Jamal Hill's win is even more impressive. I thought it was an amazing fight and very scrappy in the beginning. I'm happy for Jamal Hill. Sucks for Thiago Santos because this is the best he's looked in a while. And he just got finished by the younger, hungrier, more youthful guy, which is always usually the case. And brutal finish. Good things are gonna come for Jamal Hill because he's been fucking active and he's been grinding, and I loved it. So what did you think about the main?
I thought it was a great fight. I did not expect Santos to be in there past the first round. In all honesty, I picked on our TikTok. I picked
Jamal Hill to KO.
I picked Jamal Hill first round TKO. So I didn't expect him to still for Santos to be past the first round. So that was impressive to me. Jamal Hill, his overall performance was very impressive. However, there was a couple instances, I mean, more than a couple instances where I think was a bit too he was very open to being cracked.
Jamal or Santos?
And Jamal. And
Jamal,
Santos just had missed a couple times.
Jamal can be a little bit
loosey goosey,
wild. He can leave himself open quite a lot.
Yeah. So that was something I took note of, but his takedown defense was very impressive. I know Santos is not the best grappler or wrestler, but when you shoot for 20 takedowns and only get one or two of them, that's pretty impressive,
Yeah,
so,
and also I just don't see why he was trying so hard for it. I mean, it could have been that he felt like he was getting beat up a little bit and maybe he wanted to try his chances at that. But at the end of the day, the attempts and the control time, that doesn't win you a fight.
No,
so
damage.
Plan,
if you're not causing damage on the ground, the refs won't care, I mean, unless you're really controlling it for minutes at a time, which he was not doing. He was pretty much he got him down a couple of times, and then pretty much Hill got right back up.
That's an impressive thing because the speed at which he was getting back up was impressive. A lot of guys, when they go down, they have a moment where they're just like, okay, let's breathe, let's relax. Jamal Hill had none of that. He just got right back up.
Yeah, and Santos is a strong dude. I know he's not the best wrestler, but when he's on top of you, and he's putting that much force into it, it's very impressive by Hill, honestly, to stuff that many takedowns and get right back up when he got taken down. So I was impressed with that, and I was also impressed by the fact he dug very deep. You see towards the end of towards the later of the fight, his eye was pretty much shut. He was carrying the damage for sure in that fight, and he just dug deep and got the finish. I think the finish, I think they could have called it a bit earlier.
Yeah, I agree.
But I mean, it's better for it to be a little bit later if he's not taking that much damage than being a little too early, though, as we saw from last week with the Derek Lewis fight. But I was impressed. I was very impressed. He ended up calling out Yuri and and Jan, which was probably the smart move because you
Yuri
call
and
out
Jan,
Jan.
yeah.
Yeah, I think that's a smart move because
The Jan fight is definitely a smart move because you
yeah,
never know who's going to get the next title shot, and that would be a sick fight.
that would be a great
Honestly,
fight.
I just see, first of all, fun fact, Vicente Luque knocked out Thiago Santos on the regional scene, if
Wow,
you, which is
that's
crazy to
interesting.
think about.
That's crazy.
Um,
The weight, for the in
of
terms of the weight.
course.
Yeah, that
Yeah, Vicente moved up to middleweight for that one. That was a long time ago, but man, I think that was a great call out. And the way that I see that is I just see a guy like Jan Blachowicz, who looked good in his last fight against Rakic, but after a while, man, Jamal Hill is so dangerous. I could just see a Jamal Hill knockout there, and I
yeah.
like I like Jan's chances, but you know I don't know, man. I for some reason I could see Jamal Hill just being so tough and being able to just land a big shot. He's probably the rangier guy. Power is similar, but I could see it, man. I could see him showing the age gap and him
Yeah.
showing the difference in where they are in their career. Jan is still tough. Again, great outing against Rakic, but I like that fight, and I like that fight for Jamal. I think it was
Yeah.
excellent fallout.
I agree. I think I would favor Jamal, the younger guy. Like people forget about like these guys like Glover and like Jan. Like these guys are Jan's like 39. Like, like
Yeah.
he's getting really up there in
Oh,
age.
he's in his 40s
And
now.
like, yeah, well, they're like at 40 years old, like what are you gonna really have left? I mean, each fight you're getting worse. Like that's a fact. Like I know, like some guys could really like start blooming later in their careers, but not in your 40s. Like that's a
Well,
little bit.
Glover, I disagree with that because Glover, dude, Glover as a 42-year-old man is listen, he's gotten better than he was than he when he was fighting John Jones.
I disagree on. I actually disagree on that. I
No,
think I
dude,
think the competition was a lot. I think the Jones was a lot better than anybody he's faced. And I
that's
think the
true.
guys he's lost to when he was younger were just better. Like I don't think the light heavyweight division is as good as
I
it
I
used to be.
can't here. Okay, so here's the thing, John Jones, you're 100% correct, but I think that Rampage Jackson, I think that those other guys, the light heavyweights back then, were tiny. I mean, those guys were basically fat middleweights, short for the light heavyweight division. You got monsters that are genetic freaks, 6'3", 6'4", Jamal Hill, Yuri, Alexander Rakic. These guys are super athletes. Honestly, I think Glover has gotten better, and I couldn't like I just disagree, brother. I
Dude.
can't. John Jones, you're right on that, but you have to remember John Jones was on the sauce, man. Like he was probably sauced up. I think that the light okay. So I think the light, and this is I don't think is a hot take, but I think the light heavyweight today like smashes the light heavyweight division in 2010, 2012,
Damn.
aside from John Jones.
Damn.
I think
I'm
Glover today would beat the Glover of old. He's
damn.
similar. I just think he's better.
I'm gonna have to disagree on that just because the guys back then, like maybe they weren't as athletic as the guys now, but they're better wrestlers and stuff like that. So I think like Glover kind of got a bit lucky facing a 39-year-old Jan Blachowicz, um, who like I mean he beat Dominic Reyes for a title, which I mean Dominic Reyes, from what we know, could have just had a really good fight against Jones. He beat a Dominic Reyes who's gotten knocked out multiple times in the last few
But that
years.
thing is, he did beat John Jones, and before that, he hadn't been knocked. That's the thing. It's like Dominic Reyes, he got knocked out by Yuri, and Jan Blachowicz is Jan's a champ. Like that dude was champion, beat Israel Adesanya, outstruck Adesanya. He knocked out the guy that beat. I mean, listen, we can't forget that Dominic on that night beat John Jones 3 rounds to 2. Listen, here's the thing about Glover. I think that Glover's fight IQ has gotten a lot better.
Yeah, I would agree with you on that.
Physically, he's gotten worse. His power is probably lesser. He relied a lot more on his boxing and his ability to brawl back in the day, whereas these days he relies a lot more on his grappling. Maybe he just uses it a lot more. And you could also make the argument that John Jones back then was worse than the John Jones today as well, which could be true.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see about that when he fights in heavyweight.
Yes.
Which we have to talk about for a second. So
yeah.
So we told you guys like a few weeks ago that we heard from a really reliable source that it was Jones Stipe, Madison Square Garden 281, booked, done deal, that they were going to announce in a few weeks. Something seemed to happen on Stipe's side. I think it may have had to do with the money or something. We don't really know on that. But that's just unfortunate, honestly, because like that was the fight that we talked about many times. Like that was the fight we were looking forward to so much in 2022. The John Jones return against the heavyweight GOAT, like that was just amazing.
We were both convinced.
Yeah, like there's no better fight to have at Madison Square Garden than that. And then they book, and then something happens on Stipe's side, and then they end up having to book Israel versus Pereira, which I'm excited for, but it's not as exciting as what would have been in John Jones versus Stipe. What do you think about that fight? And what do you think about Stipe ducking Jones?
Listen, honestly, I was a big fan of Stipe. The first ever full UFC pay-per-view card I watched was Stipe and Ngannou won. And I was a fan of Stipe ever since then. Not anymore. I'm not a Stipe fan anymore because he takes forever to fight. He takes years off. That's the most active Stipe will be. And on average, it looks like, he'll be out for, honestly, at this point, I'm not even convinced he comes back. So I'm essentially so disappointed that I'm right back where I was a few months ago saying that I don't think John Jones comes back at all. So it's ridiculous. Now we have to wait on Francis Ngannou. That could take up until, hell, that Francis might not be back till next spring, the way that things are looking. So
these heavyweights, man, like they're
all
scared of each other. Yeah. Like I said, like they like, I feel the thing about this time is that it's not John Jones's fault. You know what I'm saying? Like in the past, like it was like, oh, John isn't ready. And we saw from those training videos, like the dude is ready. Like he looks real good.
Looks powerful.
So like it's just unfortunate that when John is ready, potentially the greatest fighter of all time is ready to make his return in a new weight class. Nobody else is ready. Like in Stipe's case, just ducking. Like it's just unfortunate, I just want
anything tied to Adesanya at this point is just like, listen, the Pereira Adesanya matchup is the most exciting matchup that you could possibly make for Adesanya, aside from Khamzat Chimaev. But anything tied to Adesanya's name at this point is just kind of boring.
Yeah. In
a way, it's more boring than it should be. Because listen, I'm fully aware of Adesanya's rise to stardom in the UFC. He had, a bunch of great fights when he was at the top of the rankings. Had a couple great championship fights. Well, guess what? His last 5 out of 6 fights have fucking sucked to another level. He's the most boring fighter in the UFC. No, he's not the most boring fighter in the UFC. He's the most champion. He's the most boring male champion by far, by tenfold, light years more boring than any other male champion in the UFC, bar none. Do I respect it? Yes. Would I be 10 times more boring if I was in his position and I was making all that money to win? I'd be more boring. I respect him. I'd do the same thing if I was him. I'm not a fan of him. He's boring. I hate watching him fight. Pereira is the only fight that I'm relatively interested in. Fuck, Whitaker, I thought beat him, but they still didn't give him the nod. We still have Adesanya as champ, putting us to sleep. And like Pereira, it's interesting, but it's not as interesting as it should be because Adesanya is really that boring. And it's either Pereira gets the KO and basically all of the UFC fans are happy, or Adesanya dances his way around the octagon to another boring decision. If that happens, I will literally not watch an Adesanya fight again.
Yeah, Pereira's our last hope, honestly.
Yeah.
To make an Izzy fight interesting. Like I agree with you. If Izzy has another boring fight, I'm done watching him completely. I'm done watching him because, and also the thing is, like, those who don't believe us about the John Jones Stipe thing is, like, why would the UFC want to book Izzy Adesanya, the most boring champion, on as the main event for Madison Square Garden?
Last second decision. Stipe
Wow.
pulling
Yeah.
out. Listen, Stipe, what the fuck? Like, I guess Stipe needed more vacation time. He hasn't had enough vacation time. He's only been out. He's only been on vacation for the past year and a half. I
Years.
get that he's a firefighter, but I mean, like, I listen.
You're a
Stipe,
fighter first.
okay, you know what? You heard it here first, guys. As far as we're concerned, Stipe Miocic is officially an ex-UFC fighter. I don't consider Stipe a UFC fighter anymore. So if you ask me a Stipe question, I'll say, what? He's coming out of retirement. So now when I'm concerned with Stipe, I'm concerned with the guy who's retired, who's potentially going to make his comeback and come out of retirement. So as far as I'm concerned, he's retired.
And those who get upset about us saying this stuff about Stipe, like, he just made us look bad, honestly. In all honesty, he made us look bad. Like,
Yeah,
we can get as upset
he
as,
fucked up a whole event.
yeah, we get as upset at him as we want.
Yeah,
Like what? Yeah, let's not even talk about this ex-UFC fighter again,
yeah, he's retired.
until he actually comes back.
I'm done with the Stipe talk.
Yeah, we were
I'm
literally
looking forward to Jones and Francis.
exactly,
Hopefully
exactly.
we don't have to wait until 2000 and we don't have to wait till
30.
next summer for that one. But yeah,
Yeah. Well, back to Izzy versus Alex. This is our last hope for an exciting Izzy fight.
it is, because the thing is, listen, there is a chance. And here's the thing. Here, I'm going to break down this fight perfectly. Israel Adesanya struggles against guys that are his size, his build, similar reach. And guess what? Not only does he struggle against those guys, hence the Jan Blachowicz fight. Well, and Pereira's even taller than Jan Blachowicz, even rangier, but he's fighting one of the only guys that can literally do the same thing as him. Everyone that fights Adesanya, even Jan, has to resort to trying to trick him, have to doing something special. Pereira can play the exact same game. Pereira doesn't have to step a single foot out of his comfort zone to take on Adesanya. He's going in there for a kickboxing match. The last time they both fought, twice, he beat Israel Adesanya twice. He knocked him out. And guess what? After that, he got even better. Pereira, since the Adesanya fight, when it comes to his striking, has gotten way better. He's beaten stiffer competition in kickboxing since then. He's been a champion in kickboxing since then. And, this is going to be a kickboxing fight with gloves on. We know how big Adesanya's ego is. Okay. We know that he thinks of himself as some anime legend or whatever. And that, he has this massive ego. When he gets in the cage, he's not going to shoot for a takedown. He's not going to grapple. That would be a mental defeat. And guess what? He's going to have to fight Pereira, who is going to feel 100% comfortable, who can go leg kick for leg kick, who can stand out on rage and pick each other apart. And guess what? Two kickboxers, similar level. Adesanya, not that much power. He has decent power, but against Pereira's going to land. And, because it's not going to be that hard for him to land on Adesanya. They're basically the same reach, same height. He's going to land. He's going to knock him out. Yeah. I don't see this fight going any other way. Adesanya could potentially, he's probably quicker. He's probably a little faster. That's his, who knows? Maybe Adesanya comes back with a big nipple, comes back with a couple boobs on the sauce and is able to take big shots and, can rally in the end. But I think he's getting knocked out, and I think I'm leaning 90% towards Pereira. I think Pereira smokes him. I hope Pereira smokes him. I don't see how Adesanya wins this. He's not a good wrestler. He's not a good grappler. His ego's too big to even try that. If he does, it's going to get stuffed. All it takes is one.
Yeah.
He's gonna get fucking rocked. He's gonna get knocked out, bro. Straight up. I
I'm
can't wait. I can't wait to see it.
I'm so excited.
Like now that I'm thinking about it, I'm actually convinced that we have the only guy on this planet, aside from guys that are in the bigger weight classes,
Or Chimaev.
or Chimaev, the only guy that can absolutely smoke him. All it takes is one hook, done.
Yeah.
And you saw Adesanya could be out jabbing him. Adesanya could be lighting him up. Adesanya could be winning that fight. Guess what? All it takes is one, and it's gonna land, and he's gonna go out. Adesanya could win the first round. He could win the second. He's gonna get knocked out. He can't be there for 25 minutes striking with Alex Pereira. We saw what happened in the last two fights. And since then, Pereira's gotten way better. It's not like only Adesanya's gotten better. Pereira's a much better kickboxer than he was when they first fought. Much more technical. He was like a noob. They were both young guys back then. Okay. Yeah. Pereira's a fucking beast. And Adesanya is going to be super emotional because, Pereira, when he's asked about Izzy, of course he says he's going to fight him. He's going to knock him out and all that, but he's relatively respectful. He's like, I hope Adesanya does well so we can have this fight. He's not really thinking about Izzy all that much. If you ask Izzy a question, he'll shut you down. He'll say, You're no one to talk to me. I'm a legend, mate. You're no one to talk to me. Get in your place. Watch the first few fights. Well, listen, we all saw the first few fights. He's always saying the first few fights I was doing well. You got knocked out, son. And guess what? You're going to get knocked out again. So Adesanya is so emotionally invested. He's so uptight. His ego is going to be going through the roof. He's not going to have a good game plan. He's going to go in there emotional, trying to prove a point, and he's going to get clipped by the dude that you don't want to get clipped by. He's going to get clipped by the most dangerous striker, probably maybe in the UFC, maybe aside from some of these heavyweights. Bro, Alex Pereira, the fucking power in that left hook is ungodly. It's ridiculous. And I don't care how tough you are. I don't care if you can roll with a shot. Adesanya, you get hit by that, it's done.
It's literally a sledgehammer. Like,
also, so now that I think about it, I'm actually excited.
I just wanted to add a quick note to that. Pereira was on, I don't know if you know this, but nobody really knows this, but he was dealing with a lot of like alcohol, like he was an alcoholic apparently. He's dealing with a hard time in his life when he was fighting Izzy, and he fought Izzy the second time on 1 week notice.
And now he's more mature.
He seemed to figure his stuff out. He has improved. I would say he's improved more than Izzy in the striking department. Like when you get to the UFC, like I know he's still focusing on his striking, but he's been over the years, I'm sure, focusing more on his like takedown defense, his rest, stuff like that. Pereira's been was focusing on was still focusing on kickboxing. I know, and then like the last like 2 years, he started focusing more on the wrestling aspect. But for like multiple years, when Izzy was in the UFC, Pereira was still working on his striking. And there's only one way Izzy wins. There's literally one way Izzy wins, and it's not from outputting him. It's him getting on the sauce again. That's the only chance, and coming in with Gyno.
Dude, that's the only chance he has to win.
Gyno Izzy is his only option of winning.
Pretty much.
The Izzy who fought Costa comes in.
Yeah,
that's a chance, but if not,
even then, it's a chance he doesn't, because like again, he's gonna be so emotionally invested. All the pressure's on him. Pereira's in his head rent free. Pereira knows I've knocked him out. I can knock anyone out on this planet. I can be patient. I can plod. I can take my time. All I need is one left hook and it's over. And again, Izzy is the same size, the same reach. And when Izzy can't rely on that massive long reach and he can't rely on that range, he doesn't do as well. And he doesn't do as well. Simple as. And he's not going to do as well. I mean, Jan Blachowicz is a great kickboxer. He's got good striking. He outstruck Adesanya, and he's nowhere near the level of Pereira.
Definitely not.
I mean, and he had to rely on his grappling a little bit. Adesanya's got good defensive grappling. I don't see Adesanya spending his whole training camp on his offensive wrestling. Maybe that would give him a good chance to win. to trick Pereira a little bit. But even then, he's not a wrestler. He's not gonna learn how to be an offensive wrestler in a few months. I hope he doesn't pull out. And also, I don't want to jinx it, so I'm not even gonna say it.
All right.
I
But
was about to say, listen. I'll just make it. I'll make an innuendo. I hope that this fight doesn't end because of some weird reason. You know what I mean? Like, I hope no one gets. I hope the fight doesn't end due to a unfortunate reason.
okay, yeah, I'd
Yeah,
agree. I'd agree. Speaking of UFC 281, Dustin Poirier versus Michael Chandler is booked. I am beyond excited for this fight. The
dude,
fight
I can't
people
wait.
wanted, the fight the fighters wanted. Like there was some real tension going on with them. And yeah, I'm like, very excited for the fight, and I'm really like curious for if it's going to be a 3 rounder or a 5 rounder.
It'll be a five, I think.
Oh, really?
Five
So
rounder. Yeah,
that changes everything, honestly. Because in a 3 rounder, I'd probably
Chandler could
take
win that
Chandler, but for a 5 rounder, I'd take Poirier without a doubt. I think
without a
Chandler
doubt.
will have his moments early on, but as the fight goes on, Poirier tends to get better. And I think just as the fight goes on, I think Poirier will just we'll just start piecing him up, and Chandler will just start gassing out. And I think Poirier will probably finish him late in the fight, maybe like the fourth or
What do
fifth.
you think Chandler's path to victory is in general?
There's not much. I don't think it's to
You
either
think
finish.
what if he wrestles and makes that his number one and does not spend time on the striking? I don't see it happening because Chandler always wants to be like he always wants to blow the roof off of the building. He's in there to entertain, which is why we love him.
Yeah,
But like I don't see him. He's doesn't have the best fight IQ.
yeah. No, I mean, in most
Poirier's got pretty good fight IQ.
yeah, in most of Chandler's fights, he could probably win if he just starts wrestling.
Yeah.
But like he wants to be entertaining, which we love. We respect.
Yeah.
We love Chandler. We love Chandler here at MMA Dynasty.
Yeah.
But I don't think that will be good for him against a guy like Poirier, one of the best boxers in the UFC, one of the best brawlers overall in the UFC. He turns it up as the fight goes on, as we saw in the Hooker fight, the Holloway 2 fight. Poirier is an absolute savage. We love him here too. Puts on a good show every
two of
single
the pound for
fight.
pound most entertaining fighters.
For sure. Like Chandler, Poirier, both those guys are super entertaining. So we're in for a real treat. I just think Chandler's has 2 ways to win this fight. The first is just to do the wrestling. Poirier isn't the best wrestler, but I don't think Chandler's going to be doing that. And the second way is just getting him out early. And Poirier's got a good chin, man, and like he doesn't get hit much. So I don't think that's going to happen. I think once Poirier gets out of the first 3 rounds, he's going to just dominate, honestly.
Yeah, he's gonna. If this fight goes into the later rounds, Poirier is gonna destroy him. Chandler doesn't have the best gas tank. He also doesn't have the best chin. I mean,
yeah,
he's been dropped so often. You go dropped by Tony Ferguson, knocked out a bunch of times in Bellator, dropped by Justin Gaethje all over the place. Like he's that equalizer that he has comes at a cost. He doesn't have the best chin, and Poirier hits hard. He doesn't have that one punch knockout power, but he hits hard, and his boxing is very good. Chandler doesn't have the best boxing. He relies heavily on his power. He's not the most technical striker either. The reason why his striking is so successful is because he's so powerful.
Strong,
Yeah,
he's a strong guy. But I'm very excited for this fight. We
that,
actually
that, that to me is just as good as Gaethje Chandler. That's literally like the same, interchangeable.
I would say this is going to be better just because it's a fight.
I think it's going to be better.
Yeah, which is crazy because that fight was
one of the
best fights.
This could be fight of the year.
Best fights ever. What?
This could be fight of the year.
Yeah, this for sure could be fight of the year, and I'm looking forward to it. But speaking of a guy who's fought both of them, Charles Oliveira sent a message to Islam Makhachev, a video message, and I don't want to quote him because he said a lot, but
and he's Brazilian too.
Pretty much, like
he can't even. Yeah,
he was just like the whole team. Like he was referring to Ali and Khabib, all those guys, Islam. Like they're they're all he was pretty much saying that they're underestimating him and like that it's going to be their downfall. And I completely agree. They're expecting everybody who fights Charles just keeps underestimating him. They think he still has his quit in him, and he clearly does not.
I don't know if they're running with that narrative that he quits. I know all of Oliveira's past opponents have, but I think the thing is, and I can understand why Oliveira is so pissed, is the Habib guy, some of these Dagestani guys, the Habib's team, him, Makhachev, they're always priding themselves on, we're humble, no smack talk. This is all about respect. And they'll get on there and they'll basically just say, Makhachev, I mean, Oliveira's overrated. We're going to finish him early. We're going to take him out easily.
He's just holding Khabib's.
I guess in a way they're kind of they have a little bit of this smug attitude, and it's very evident, and that's not indicative of like what they're trying to be about. Humble, all respectful. They got to put respect on Oliveira's name, and I understand why Oliveira's disrespected again. These guys are hypocrites. Like, Habib talks shit. Islam doesn't talk a lot of shit, but Habib
he still does. He still has his moments. I would say
his moments.
And like
it's good that he's confident, by the way. I just want to get that out of the way. It's fine if he's confident. Like, he should be saying, I can finish him and all that stuff. But I'm just saying the way that they're going about it, there's a little bit of a smug attitude, and it doesn't add up with their humble.
Exactly. It's Ali. It's really Ali. All starts with him, and like I don't really understand what they're trying to like accomplish with this. Like I don't know, because
do you think it's good that Charles Oliveira is fired up? Because
I think this is really good. I think this is like he said. I agree with him. I think this is going to be their downfall. I think all this, like this whole attitude is just going to get Charles more like work harder, get him like pissed off.
I hope he's not too angry in the cage.
I don't think he will, because we saw him last time. He was, if he probably was more angry in the last fight, and he fought amazing. Like I'm that's another fight I'm really looking forward to. And I was talking to my brother about this yesterday.
That is a good point.
In this fight, we're gonna know pretty soon on who's gonna win this fight.
Yeah,
because this is what it's.
We're gonna know. I think we're gonna know within the first 3 minutes, because there's gonna be a grappling exchange. There's gonna be a takedown shot. There's gonna be some grappling going on, and I think, for example, we're either going to see Makhachev take Oliveira down, neutralize the grappling, and control him, or we're going to see the same thing, but we're going to see Oliveira start throwing up submissions, put Makhachev in trouble, get back up, start landing big shots, clinch, land big shots. So it goes one of those two ways.
Exactly. And we're going to know really quick, because like what I was talking to my brother is like if Islam has one way of winning this fight, one way is if he's able to take him down and hold him down.
Yeah.
So if Islam struggles to take Charles down in any sort of way, he's going to be in real trouble, like real trouble.
I don't know if he's going to. I agree. He's done. If he can't take him down, he's
stand with Charles. He's not standing with Charles.
And I know he's got power. Islam is a good striker. He's a good striker. He's a good defensive striker. But like, he's nowhere near the level of striker that Charles Oliveira is.
Yeah, and I
Charles
think
Oliveira is as dangerous as they come in that
especially
division.
with the pressure too. You know what I mean? Like,
and the clinch work.
Yeah, dude, honest,
bro. The fight IQ of it, like the way he was able to put Gagey down, that was so calculated. He was setting that up.
Yeah, he was with the clinch and stuff like that. So like, I just think that if Islam struggles to get Charles down, I think it could be very discouraging, and I think it could really mess up his mindset for the rest of the fight. And I think that will be that's Islam's only way to win.
Another thing, Islam usually has the size advantage. He's usually the much bigger man. Charles Oliveira is legitimately one of the biggest 155ers that there is right now. Everyone that's met him that's talked about how big he is says he's fucking huge.
Yeah.
He's strong.
Oh,
And I like, I'm just gonna get this out of the way. I want Charles Oliveira to win. Okay. I'm a Charles Oliveira fan. I like Islam Makhachev. I just don't want him to be Charles Oliveira. I like Charles Oliveira. I like his story too much. I think he's so entertaining. I don't want a guy like Islam to be champ. I don't need to see Habib part two. And it would be way cooler if Islam could get beat by Charles, so that we always have that thing of what if both him and Khabib fought, or now we have more excitement. Charles Oliveira as champion 100% is way more exciting than Islam Makhachev as champion. Like his fights, Charles Oliveira's fights are amazing. I want him to win, and I just am really happy that they're both big, and Charles Oliveira is big. It's not like Justin Gaethje's. He's okay, but he's a little chubby for that division. He's not that big. Charles Oliveira is jacked.
massive.
He's lean. He's rangy. Like he's an amazing grappler too. So I'm liking this. This is going to be one of the best matchups I've ever seen.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. This is one of the most exciting fights I've ever looked forward to. Honest, this is the most excited I've ever been for a fight. Honestly, like this.
It's similar to Chimaev and Burns in a way. But the difference is Charles is so much more dangerous than Burns on the ground.
Yeah. Burns doesn't really submit people.
And also Makhachev is a way worse striker than Chimaev.
Oh, for sure. That's what I was also thinking about yesterday. Like the thing is about Makhachev is like his way to victory is by dominating the wrestling aspect. But you look at Usman when he fought Burns, you look at Chimaev when he fought Burns, those guys didn't want to be on the ground with Burns, who's a way less dangerous grappler than Charles. So, like, are you really sure
everyone wants to avoid the ground with Charles?
Like, are you sure you want to be wrestling with Charles? Like, I don't. Islam is. We're gonna, like I said, we're gonna know very soon who's gonna win, and I think it's gonna be Charles. I think Islam's gonna struggle a little bit getting Charles down, and I think Charles will just dominate him on the feet. He'll get the knees going. He'll gas him out, and I just think he'll finish him, honestly.
Dude, I can't wait. I can't wait. I just want to see, dude, like
I want to see him go.
There's a few guys that I really want to see win, and I really want to see lose. Listen, that's how the sport works. And in MMA, unfortunately, the loser gets hurt. But I really want to see Adesanya lose, and I really want to see Islam lose. But I want to see them lose to those specific guys. And
for sure.
Listen, if honestly, here's the question. Who would you rather see win? Would you rather see Pereira knock out Adesanya? You have to choose one. So one of them isn't going to happen. Would you rather Pereira knock out Adesanya? Would you rather Charles finish Islam Makhachev?
That's a good question. But I would say I'd rather Charles win.
Same, dude.
Dude, both of I'm pretty sure like Charles and Chimaev are both of our favorite fighters, like those guys are the most entertaining, and I know Pereira's entertaining, but like he's only been in the UFC for
he's only entertaining because he's like tied to Izzy.
Yeah, I mean, once
that knocked him out,
done, I'm not gonna be as interested in him because he's like gonna lose like a guy like Whitaker or something.
Yeah, exactly.
So I think Charles, like if he wins, like he's considered the greatest lightweight ever. There's no debate anymore.
If he wins two more, it's not even a question.
Oh, I mean, if he wins against
this one, it's not a question. But imagine he wins two more.
Oh, dude, it's
if he
not
beats Makhachev, no one else beats him.
Oh, it's not a debate anymore. So I think I'd for sure want Charles to win, and I'm just really hoping. I'm nervous about that fight too. Honestly, I'm gonna be real nervous these next coming months. Honestly, I just want Charles to win and then be the end of it. But yeah, no, I'm excited. Like, have you? And also, like, just back to Charles's size, real quick. Have you seen him next to a guy like Gilbert Burns? He's literally dead ass bigger than Burns. Like, he's a bigger guy than Burns. Like, I know, like Burns is like a smaller like welterweight, but Charles is literally bigger than Burns, which is absolutely insane. So. Yeah, and then there's some more news. Actually, I just wanted to go over some more news. Conor McGregor. Some weird tweets this week. He's in a movie. Seemed as if he was retiring, and then he's saying he's not retiring. Like, it's a bit strange, and I think we might as well just expect the UFC to be without Conor. I think it's time that like the UFC. we just have to expect Conor not to return, in my opinion.
I think he's gonna return. I just don't think it'll happen as soon as most people thought. I was always thinking there's no way he comes back this year. I thought it was too good to be true. The injury was horrific. There was no way he was gonna recover that quickly. And honestly, I think that Conor returns, but here's what I think. I think he does return. I just think now that there's no way for him to win a fight.
Yeah.
Because if he was going to return and he was really about that return, he wasn't going to do a movie. You know, he's got a big role too that requires so much effort.
Mm-hmm.
He's not going to ever be able to hang with any top guys ever. So any questions of him beating any top guys, for me is over. And for me, that's pretty much means that Conor McGregor ever doing anything impressive is over.
Yeah, I agree. It's unfortunate. I mean, I was really looking forward to a Conor return. Like at first,
the
I thought,
UFC needs big stars.
yeah,
Because Conor, no one's ever even.
No one's gonna come close. I mean, like there's like Chimaev, obviously, but like he's never gonna be a guy. He's never gonna be like Conor. So it's just unfortunate. And I was really like at first, I was really hoping for the Diaz Conor 3. That was the fight the UFC seemed to want to go about to go with. That obviously wasn't going to happen, and then Conor decided just that he's going to do this movie thing and just rules out like him coming back for like the next pretty much year. So it's unfortunate, but I mean, hey, we'll see Conor on the big screens, I guess. So that'll be exciting to see. But yeah, and like I just want we have a lot more news this week. So I wanted Colby. Do you see Colby going up playing poker? At the Hard Rock?
I saw something about that, but I didn't really know much about it. He won some like 40K or something like that.
Yeah, he won pretty much 50K. He literally placed like top 7 in like this massive tournament.
That is very impressive. I didn't know Colby was a good poker player.
Yeah, it's interesting because people were saying like Colby was saying that he had like, or people were making rumors up or whatever that Colby had this head injury or something. That's why he hasn't been active on social media and stuff. And like, if you're playing poker, like,
you can't
really have a head injury because that involves a lot of like thinking, you know. So perhaps he's just ducking Chimaev.
Or maybe he did get some kind of concussion in the gym or something. Maybe he's taking a little bit of time off. That's another thing that sucks about Colby is like I liked how Colby did a quick turnaround after his loss to Usman. But he went right back to the Colby that we all knew before because he's not active and he's wasting his prime. I mean, that's the thing. It's like these guys like Colby, they're young until they're not. Like Colby Covington, a year and a half ago was young Colby, you know, so much potential, could be champ someday. You know, we'll see what happens with Usman. But now, I'm sorry, Colby's just wasting his prime. He's not young anymore. He's getting up. He's gonna get up there the longer he waits. I don't see like why these guys. I listen. If he's got a little bit of an injury, of course, take time off. But a part of me thinks that these guys just don't want to fight, and
it's unfortunate.
It's annoying. Like you're literally wasting your prime. Like he's one of the best on earth.
Yeah,
he's wasting his prime
without a doubt. And also, speaking of people not wanting to fight, like I was really thinking about it yesterday. Like when's a guy like Shavkat gonna return? Like what? Like I don't understand.
He fought recently though. Like that was
but it was a very quick fight. Like he took no damage. Like my thing, what I was thinking was like, do these young fighters up and coming, like a guy like Chimaev? I mean, Chimaev is a fight booked now, but a guy like when Chimaev was coming up, a guy like Shavkat, like do these guys just like not want to like? Do they like not like want to fight, or do they like want to fight, but the UFC is like struggling to book them because nobody wants to fight them? Like I'm that's what I'm just really curious about, and I wish like we would get that answer, you know what I mean? Because like a guy like Shavkat, like I'm assuming these guys like don't like are ready to fight whoever, but like I think that what I think it is I think that it's so it's not, these top guys have nothing really to gain.
That's what it is.
Fighting a guy like
Shavkat, a lot of the top guys, they don't want to fight the up and comers, and the up and comers only want to fight a top guy. It's hard to make some of those fights, but a guy like Colby, he doesn't want to fight a Chimaev. He doesn't want to fight a Shavkat. Colby is very smart when it comes to business. He wants to take those matchups that he knows he can do well in, which is fine, but it sucks because you're wasting your prime.
Yeah, yeah. I would definitely like to see a guy like Shavkat return before 2022 because that a lot of people say he's better than Chimaev. I wouldn't agree on that, but
He's real good, man.
oh,
I
he's
don't
a
I don't
really
know if
good
he's better than
fighter.
Chimaev, but he's like he's got like he's top 5 best potentials in the UFC right now.
For sure. Like his
Let's
wrestling.
talk about that. I think that's interesting.
Yeah,
There's
let's do
two
that.
things I want to talk about, but that's one of them. In your opinion, I'm talking about guys that have never fought for a belt. Which guys in the UFC have the most potential? Not star power, just in general. For me, I would say Khamzat Chimaev. I would say Shavkat Rakhmonov. I would say Ilya Tapuria. Um, I would say again, not had a belt, so I can't put Yuri in there. Um, Tom Aspinall, I'm still big on Tom. It's so unfortunate what happened to him, but and then other than that, I am going to just have to throw in. Let's see. I'm thinking of the 155 division. Is there anyone at
You're
150?
forgetting about someone in another division, but I'm not gonna
O'Malley?
you're gonna laugh when I say it. So just
Okay, I got 4.
Magomed Ankalaev.
Oh, okay, yeah. Magomed and Goliath. Okay, so that's guys. This proves my point. Like, this is why we don't want him to be champion because he's so good, but he's like no one. Like, he's so boring. So yeah, Magomed and Goliath's in there. So it's Magomed, Chimaev, Shavkat, Ilya Tapuria, and Tom Aspinall. And you may have pretty much the same list.
Yeah, I agree with
Yeah.
you. I mean, I would have a guy like Jamal Hill on that also.
Jamal Hill's up there.
Yeah, but like, yeah, there's a lot of up and coming guys. It's just like none of these guys, besides like Chimaev and like O'Malley, have and like even Patty. But I don't think Patty is that high of a ceiling.
That's the thing. It's like Patty and O'Malley, they're real good, but the guys in their divisions are like 155 is so stacked and 135 is also so stacked. So like they're amazing, but they're in some of the most stacked divisions in
So
UFC.
like, the only
By
guy,
the way, yeah,
like the only guy we can really hope for is like and expect as being like the next star is Chimaev,
yeah.
and like, so I don't know. It's
By the way, I just want to say like the card next week. I know we've talked about bad cards. The card next week is absolute dog shit. Like the main event is good, but the co-main event is
bring it up actually.
yeah. Correct me if I'm wrong, but the co-main event is Nate Landwehr versus who?
UFC San Diego. Honestly, I
Look up UFC Fight Night.
San Diego Fight Night. All right. Vera versus Cruz. Let's get it up. Let's get it up. All right. So we got
Who's the co-main?
Oh, you're gonna lose it.
Nate Landwehr?
It's a woman's fight.
No. Wait, who's the feature fight? Who's the third? What's one fight before?
It's Nate Landwehr versus
Dude.
David.
This card is so terrible.
All right, we're gonna have to give a rant.
Nate Landwehr. Listen, it's a fight night. Nate Landwehr has never ever been ranked. He's like a win loss. He's a 50-50 fighter. He's not even a journeyman. He legitimately is not a great fighter. He's like a bottom tier UFC fighter. And they're going to San Diego for an event, a big event. They're not doing this at the Apex. And you know what they're giving the fans? You know what the UFC is giving the fans in San Diego that paid for those tickets? Nate Landwehr is a feature fight. Like, and his opponent, I don't even know his fucking name. What's his opponent's name?
Let's see. David Anima or something. Sorry.
Anyway, bro, that's no one.
There's 2 women's fights.
And then there's 2 women on the main card.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's just say it. This is probably the worst card I've ever seen in my entire life, aside from the main event. Maybe I've seen worse, so maybe it's recency bias. The main event is so good that it makes it maybe not the worst. But aside from the main event, this is the most tragic card, and we're gonna post this on TikTok. The UFC Fight Night San Diego, Cruz and Vera, aside from the main event, is the most tragic fight night card I've ever seen in my entire life. You have Nate Landwehr as a feature fight. Nate Landwehr, bottom tier UFC fighter, 2 women's fights on the main card. This is literally the most pathetic card I've ever seen in my life. Dude, fuck. I mean, that I'm competing on that day. I have my second bodybuilding show. I'm 100% watching the main event, but like, I'm probably not going to be paying attention to the screen when the other fights are on.
Yeah, I
I'll
mean,
be eating food. I'll be chilling. I'll be hopefully in a great mood because maybe I'll win the show. And I can't wait for the main, but
dude, the
that
rest of
card
these
is
fights
so
are, dude,
terrible.
because like,
Card
look,
sucks.
the only like the women's fights are always never watchable, you know.
Pretty
So like
much.
that's like you just gotta expect. But like these, you have first of all, you have two of the women's fights, and then you have like fights with guys who are just belong on prelims, like early prelims,
Early prelims, and you
like
got these guys on the main card of a fight night, and
as feature fights too,
and you're going to San Diego for this.
which they never go to. Like this is supposed to be like an
Why
exciting
is Corey
event.
Sandhagen and Song Yadong not on this one? Like that should like, bro. The thing is, these fight nights, like they have a good main event, and the rest of the card is absolute trash. Now, listen, last night's card was great. Last night's card was great, but we didn't have only trash fights. We had some good fights. We had some good up and comers.
Also, we didn't have women's fights. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like the thing is, like, dude,
we had the ultimate fighter finale. We had Kamaru Usman's brother, Brian Battle. We had Terrence McKinney. We had guys that were exciting, and you know, the wars, great main event. This is pathetic. This is literally a slap in the face to the fans. I mean, I listen. If they came to my city, I would 100% not buy this ticket. The reason why I went to the UFC Long Island is because the card was good.
yeah.
But this is pathetic. I'm sorry. I'm gonna clip this a bunch of times and put it on my TikTok. This fight night card is pathetic. It's sucks. It's a tragedy. It's a travesty. It's unreal.
There's people who literally don't even. There's like one, two, three, four. There's four guys who don't even have their pictures on this.
Dude, this
fight
card
card. Like, are you
so
kidding?
sad.
Dude,
And they're
this is horrible. Like, and also like, dude, like, look, a lot like we said this multiple times. Like, a lot of the fight nights that like aren't as stacked end up being the better ones, but not when there's two women's fights. I'm
Dude,
sorry.
Devin,
like, there's no way.
Bruno Silva versus Gerald Meerschaert is actually a good fight.
That's the best fight of the night, other than freaking
Yeah.
Vera versus Dominic Cruz.
Yeah.
Like, dude, I'm actually very upset now from this. Like, how do you have freaking two women's fights? That's what pisses me off the most, honestly. Like,
dude, this card
there's no potential in those fights. Like look, at least
maybe Nate Landwehr is like from San Diego.
Dude, even so, like he's an early.
There's no way David Onama is from San Diego. He looks like he's not.
Yeah.
Bruno Silva, dude. There's so many people on this card who Ode Osborne. Yeah, it's Tyson Nam. Ode Osborne is a good fight. I like that, but it's just so unevenly spread out. Like Ode Osborne, Tyson Nam should be on the main card. Angela Hill, dude, fuck that shit.
Dude, I'm actually
Cynthia Calvillo, Nina Nunes, Amanda Nunes' lover. Fuck that shit, dude. This card sucks so bad.
Dude,
this card is so trash.
Dude, this is the worst card of the year, honestly. The main event is absolutely sick.
Sick main event. I can't wait, but like, dude, this card is literally a slap in the face.
Dude, like I actually can't believe this. Like,
thank God that Kamaru Usman, and thank God we have a massive pay-per-view the next week, which is UFC 278. I mean, let's see that one.
Anger. We'll talk more about that as the date goes on. As the
dude, that card is sick. That's a Rockhold, Jose Aldo Marab. Dude, that's a great then a main event. Amazing.
That's one of the best. We get some. I mean, 278.
Wait a second. I just want to say this, dude. That card 278 is not even that good. The only reason why we're thinking that's why this card is so garbage. You know why? Because aside from the 3 top fights on the main card, UFC 278 is not that good. And that's why they're giving us the most dog shit card of the year right before it, so that we can be fooled. Because the early prelims is pretty garbage. The prelims for UFC 278 is okay. It's not that okay. I mean, it's okay. It's an okay card. It's not a great card.
Yeah. I mean, we get 3 really good fights though, so I can't really complain about that. But
I think the main event's going to be boring. I mean, Leon. Okay, I'm just going to say it. Magomed Ankalaev is not the pound for pound most boring fighter in the UFC. I take that statement back. He has the ability to be boring. I'm just not going to call him boring. He's not. I'll take it back. I took an L on that one. He can be boring. He's boring when it comes to promotion. He's like no one gives a fuck about him. He's probably the most boring guy that could be possibly promoted as champion. No one cares about him. That being said, he's a good fighter. He's an amazing fighter. But Leon Edwards is pound for pound most boring fighters in the UFC. I couldn't even rewatch his Nate Diaz fight because of how boring it was. It was okay. Leon Edwards is the most boring fighter in the UFC, bar none. I would hate to have him as champ. I hope Kamaru Usman finishes him, or at least I hope it's an entertaining fight. I'm excited because it'll be really technical, and you have two of the best guys on earth, and Leon's amazing. But I'm sorry, Leon Edwards is the most boring guy. He will win every round by one leg kick. He'll land one strike more than you, and that's how he wins the round. He's plays it safe, never finishes.
I mean, at least we got
Nate Diaz. Couldn't even put out Nate Diaz.
Yeah, at least we got Costa Rockholm, and then we got the Jose Aldo versus Merab, which were excited.
What do you think Usman would do to Diaz? I think Usman finishes.
Usman would finish him in the first round. You know what I mean?
Dude. I think Chimaev finishes like that's pathetic. You can't like he didn't even beat him up that badly. Like he easily won rounds, but it was like he scraped by them. Like
it was not
so boring.
He didn't dominate by any means. Like I don't know. I mean, before like we switch topics, I wanted just to get like who you got winning the main event though this coming week.
Honestly, the closer we get, the closer I think it's going to be. But I'm still going to go with my original pick, which is I think Marlon Vera is going to finish Dominic Cruz. However, it's close. I could see Dominic Cruz getting a decision because Vera in his last few fights, even though he's getting those finishes, he's losing the fights when he's not landing a big shot. However, he's the Terminator. I think he's good enough to land some good shots on Cruz. I think he's good enough to walk him down. I want to pick Cruz, man. I want to pick Cruz. I think he could get it done. I'm going to pick Vera by finish. Yeah, I think it's a really close fight. I love the matchup, but I'm picking Vera. It's very close. I'm going to have to say that it's super close, but I'm picking Vera.
Yeah, I got Vera by finish also. I think this is going to be the fight where Dominic Cruz were like, this is it. You know what I'm saying? I think this is going to be the fight where like I know he's been in UFC for years and he's had multiple of those fights, and he just like ended up coming back and like being good again.
Yeah, I think about it, it's Vera. I mean, I was Vera fought Rob Font, who's an amazing striker. I think Font's a better striker than Cruz at this point, and also, Vera's gonna win this shit. Now that I think about it, Vera's.
I don't think Cruz is gonna be able to take the shots from Vera. Like
no, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Like I mean, Font. You saw Font's face in the like. Cruz has taken so much damage over the years. Like, dude, it's gonna be sad to see, but I think Vera is gonna KO him in the first few rounds. Like
few. Okay, that's a bold prediction.
It's just like I don't think he's gonna be able to take what's the name of Vera's power. I don't think he could at this point of his career. I really don't. I know Cruz is hard to hit, but I still think when he makes contact, I don't think Cruz will be able to take many of those punches or kicks either way. So he's got some amazing kicks too. So yeah, I don't think it's gonna end well for Cruz, and I think Vera will KO him. I'm gonna give a prediction. I'll say third round. So
okay,
yeah. No, it's completely off topic, but we have to mention it because he's all over the news the last few weeks. Andrew Tate versus Jake Paul? Question mark.
Yeah, I don't think that's ever happening.
No
way.
No.
Yeah, I think that's one of those things. It's too good to be true. That would be the biggest fight Jake Paul could take aside from Conor McGregor, though. Yeah. I just don't think Andrew Tate's gonna do it.
Yeah, there's
And
nothing.
I don't think Jake Paul, listen, Andrew Tate's 6'4". He's big. He's probably bigger than Jake Paul. He's got a lot of experience. It would be a good fight, but Jake Paul, I don't think Jake Paul wants that either. I think it'd be the dopest fight to make. It would be sick. I'd love to watch it. It would be a massive fight, but it's not gonna happen.
Yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen because I mean I think personally I think Jake would take that fight in a second just because of the pay-per-view and stuff like
I
that.
think he would take it.
Will make us, but Andrew Tate, like, what does the guy have to gain from it? He's the most popular guy on
Yeah.
the internet right now. Like there's way more to lose than to gain for him because like if he does, I think Andrew Tate would win that fight. But I think if Andrew Tate does lose to Jake Paul, it's horrible look for him, like a horrible look for him.
Yeah, he's like
On
just
him.
always saying he's hard to kill and all that stuff.
Yeah,
So
like so like if he loses, it's gonna be really bad for him. But Jake Paul is actually, I just saw before this podcast that he has an announcement to make tomorrow morning. So I mean, I don't think it's Andrew Tate, but
it better not be Tyron Woodley.
no, it's not gonna be.
If it's
It's,
Tyron Woodley, I won't even tune in for a
oh
second.
no, it's gonna get like 10 pay-per-view
Yeah.
fires if it's Tyrone. My prediction. I mean, by the time this video is out, we'll already know what the update of the announcement is. But I think it's gonna be Tommy Fury in London. I really, because I don't know if you know,
I
there's
hope so. I'd like to see that.
the guy who's named this guy KSI is another YouTuber. He does boxing a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
He has a card on August 27th. So I'm thinking that maybe it's
Might be
Tommy
KSI.
Fury, I what?
Didn't KSI's opponent pull out?
Yeah, KSI's opponent pulled out and they booked him against his rapper or something. Like,
Oh, so he's already booked against
yeah,
someone
he's
else.
already booked, but it could be like, okay, like
I bet he's facing Jake Paul. They'll probably scratch that rap.
really. I mean, once this video comes out, we'll
If
see.
it's Jake Paul KSI, I ain't gonna watch that. But if it's Jake Paul versus Fury or Jake Paul versus what's his name?
Rockman. It's not gonna be Rockman, I don't think, but
Or Tate, I'd watch that. Oh, Rockman's done.
yeah, I'm expecting it to be Fury in London. I think that's what they're gonna do.
I hope they do.
I hope that'd be a great fight. I'm excited. I would be excited for that one, but
That'd be a good one.
I'm excited for the announcement. Honestly, like I mean, Jake Paul. Like I feel like I was really thinking about it. Like his he's losing a lot of traction, in my
Yeah,
opinion.
dude. His photos are like, I mean, they're getting like 300K likes, but they're not.
Yeah,
Dude, I scrolled back on his timeline just to see like what kind of pop he was getting back in the day, like 3 years ago. I think he was more popular 3 years ago,
yeah,
like because
yeah.
his audience is kind of not everyone's into combat sports, man. We have to remember, like combat sports, it's a niche thing. Like not many people are into it, and that's who he is now. He's a boxer, and a lot of his fans probably don't care about that anymore.
Yeah, and I think the thing about Jake Paul is that like it was entertaining at first because people were like, "Oh, we want to see what this kid, this
Or we
YouTube,
want to see him get knocked out by
yeah,"
an
and like
MMA fight,
we
and
want to
yeah.
see like what he can do and like stuff
But I
like
think a lot
that.
of us believe that he's good now.
Yeah, like exactly. Like I think a
That's
lot
the
of us,
thing.
I mean, at least know that like are like, okay, this guy's a decent boxer. Like he probably beat like some of the guys who are just like newer
Yeah,
to like 10-0 guys, like 5-0 guys. Like
yeah.
he beat those guys, but like he can't beat a really good boxer. So like we kind of like know who Jake Paul is as a fighter at this point. So I think that
Yeah.
just really like makes him a lot less interesting. And I think he's in a position where like he's in a terrible position because like look, he can either decide like fuck the pay-per-views, like I want to just keep boxing and he just fight boxers, or he can just be like, okay, like I don't really care what people think. I'm gonna keep fighting the big name MMA guys and make good money and sell pay-per-views, stuff like that.
But
So
he won't
he's
be
an
a
option,
star.
it's one of the two. He can either, yeah, like those are his only options. And I just think it sucks. It sucks, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah,
like
because he can't get those bigs. He can't fill out a stadium fighting like another Tyron Woodley again.
or
Like
Hakeem Rockman,
that was
you're
a few
not like
times. That was a thing that only happened a couple times, and you know, I just think that you know, you're right. One of the things that really changed it all is like we now know where he is. You know, we don't really care to see him against an old washed up MMA fighter, and we also don't really care to see him up against some random boxer or some big name boxer we know is going to kick his ass. So
He's in a shit
I think
position.
the only exciting fights are Tommy Fury or Andrew Tate. And like, that Andrew Tate fight, that if I was Jake Paul, that'd be the number one thing I'm going for. But if I was Andrew Tate, I would say, I'm already good. I don't really care. Like,
He's way more popular than Jake Paul,
he doesn't have to. He doesn't have to fight.
Do that. Yeah, like I don't know. I mean, we'll know tomorrow of something. I'm excited for that announcement, but yeah, dude, I'm hoping it's Tommy Fury, honestly. That's who I hope it is. I hope it's Tommy Fury in London. So hopefully next week we'll cover that. But is there anything else we have on this? I mean, I think Dan Hooker called out Tony Ferguson. Don't really have much to make of that other than like, I mean, that fight I think makes sense. Like, I mean, two guys who seem to.
I like that fight.
Tony Ferguson's definitely washed up. Stan Hooker also seems to be washed up too. I think that fight makes a lot of sense, and I'd probably favor Hooker, but I don't know. I think that'd be a close fight, and that could be actually a good fight. Honestly, not more.
That would be a war. I want to see that, but that's an excellent one.
Yeah, I mean, I personally I think Tony Ferguson shouldn't be fighting anymore, but that's just me.
Same.
But
I think both of those guys should retire, but
yeah,
let's have them both fight each other.
Yeah, well, loser retires.
Yeah,
like those fights are honestly so sad, but like they just have to happen, you know. But yeah, I think
they want, and let's just get this out of the way. Like, they want to. No one's forcing them to fight. At the end of the day, like, you see some of these guys that are fighting too often, like Sam Alvey, for example. Should he retire? Like, yeah, probably, but he's the one making the decision. So
not the UFC.
You can't get that mad at the UFC. It's like, here's the thing about Nate Diaz. Last thing, because this is big. I was upset about Nate Diaz being booked with Khamzat, but Nate Diaz said he wouldn't fight anyone else. Nate Diaz doesn't have to fight. He can just ride his contract out. Like, he wanted this fight. And, is it unfortunate? Yeah, because we're going to see him get massacred. But essentially, Nate Diaz said, no, I'm above the other names that are lower in the rankings. I don't want them. I only want to fight the biggest names. So they gave him Khamzat. I guarantee you they gave Nate Diaz a list of other guys, but
he just did.
Nate Diaz wanted to fight a top guy. That's who he got. He got Khamzat, and that's on him. At the end of the day, it's on him. It's unfortunate that we have to see it, but the UFC's a business. They're gonna make it, and they offered him easier fights. He chose to turn those down. That's on Nate. So
I'm gonna make a bold prediction. Actually, the UFC 279 is completely canceled. I think that Nate Diaz will not show. Will decide. Will pull out the fight late, and I think they're gonna have to cancel the whole event because if you look at it, they haven't really booked anything, and it's literally in little over a month. You know what I mean? Like where are the fights? Like
I think they know Nate Diaz is gonna maybe play games.
But who are they gonna put it? Like, look, it's like
they might just move the event and get a new main.
Dude, that would suck. Honestly, that would suck because
again, that they might just make that would suck.
That would suck.
The UFC's in a bad position. I mean, this is a bad note to end the podcast on, but the UFC is not in a good position. Like, we have some great fights, but you have Stipe pulling out of the Jones fight. You got Conor leaving. You got this Nate Diaz fight that could potentially be in jeopardy. We have the worst card of the year coming up. This year for the UFC is honestly, this is probably one of the worst years the UFC has had in recent memory. The pandemic, that was actually a good year. You look back, 2019, good year. The UFC had a great year last year, 2020, 2021. This year, this is an awful year for the UFC. So many fights have gotten messed up due to freak injuries. This is the worst year that the UFC has had in a long time. I mean, they're not doing well.
Yeah, I
They're
agree.
not selling pay-per-views. They're not doing well.
They won't tell Dana White won't say that, like, but
Yeah.
I do agree. Like UFC 279 seems like it's a disaster waiting to happen. You know what I mean? Like Diaz, I don't think is going to show up to the Chimaev fight. He's going to pull out late due to some fake injury or something. The other fights, like they don't have anything booked. Like, I mean, I think they have the prelims booked, but like they have nobody on the main card booked. Like it's not gonna. First of all, if it does happen, it's not gonna sell any pay-per-views. There's no way that sells pay-per-views. Just having Diaz and Chimaev, nobody wants to see that. They all know it's gonna happen, like. So I think the UFC's screwed for that fight. I know that 279, 270, 278 is really good. I know that 280 is gonna be really good. I know that 281 is gonna be really good, but like you lose a lot of money from having one bad pay-per-view, like so I don't know. I mean, it's we got to end the podcast on a bad note, but
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, what are you gonna do? But actually, before we end this, I want to just like clip this for like the TikTok. So we didn't end up doing it last week or this week, but I want you guys to all ask us any single question. Like, I want you all to ask us questions in the comments below.
Ask us the question for the next podcast, and do it on this video. We're going to post this on the TikTok. We might not be able to get to all of them, but ask a question. We'll read your name out. We'll answer your question at the end. We'll do like a 10-minute segment answering questions.
And who knows, maybe we can do that every week, like. And also one other thing, MMA Dynasty is at a little over 700 followers. Get us to 1,000 by this weekend. We're gonna go live for UFC 278. Me and Lucas, we're going live.
Yeah, we want to go live for 278.
So mark your calendars, get on the live. But before that, got to get to 1,000 followers. So
yeah, we could do it.
1,000 followers, please, guys. Like we work so hard on all the clips, these videos. Like let's get us to 1,000.
All right, guys. Yeah, get us to 1,000. Follow us. We want to live stream together. We love talking MMA, and yeah, let's get us to a 1K. And until next time, Lucas T. I got to win this bodybuilding competition, so I'll practice my posing and eat my meal. Till next time.
Till next time, guys.